We're going to be talking about some protest news, how Grant Cardone is making headlines again, not for the right reasons, but he's being accused of exploiting his daughters. Relatable Reese made a comeback on growing up in Scientology, and we have so much more Scientology news and culty stuff to talk about. Hey, everybody, and welcome. I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Life After a Cult, where we talk about Scientology and culty stuff, my 35 years in this cult and leaving with 3 generations of my family. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Hello to everybody in the live chat. Big thank you to the members of the channel for your continued support. It means a lot. And a huge thank you to the moderators who help out every single day. I am still a little further up north in Minnesota. I'm going to be headed back home. My sister and I and a good friend of ours came out to celebrate her birthday and also try to see the Northern Lights, which we finally did. We were here for 3 nights, and the first couple of nights we didn't see anything, but thankfully on the last night, I'm so glad we did stay that extra day. And I'm just going to quickly show you guys a little bit of that. Actually, I posted a few photos on the community page. You can kind of barely see it there. It was just such a beautiful, outstanding night. The number of stars that we could see being further up north and further away from some light pollution, but it was fantastic. And there are even more photos. My friend is way better at taking photos of it than I am. So I'm probably going to steal more of hers and share those, if not in the Facebook page, definitely over here on YouTube, which reminds me, if you want to talk more about what we talk about here, we do have a Facebook group. There is a link to it in the description of this video. And yeah, we have a lot of fun there and people post some fun stuff. And it's a great way to share information as well as talk about episodes, do a deeper dive, all of the things for community. So head over there and check it out if you are somebody on Facebook. Okay, everybody. I love all the alohas. Thank you so much. We got a lot to talk about. Let's start with something now that has come out, and I'm feeling so relieved. We had talked about this, and it turns out how Scientology buying the property where Jim Henson's whole Muppet studio and everything is. Well, says here, Jim Henson, company lot on La Brea, not being sold to Scientology. Owners say not in any business dealings with the church. Family declares. How bad is it when people got to go out of their way to make it known that not only are they not selling you a building, they have no business with you. They're not doing anything with you. I feel like they really wanted to make the point, and I don't blame them one bit. Says that despite reports in the Rupert Murdoch-owned New York Post and other outlets that the Henson family was unloading the 1917 lot originally known as the Charlie Chaplin Studios, the estate was very specific today that the lot would not be joining Scientology's extensive real estate portfolio anytime soon. A spokesperson for the Jim Henson family said, in regards to recent rumors about the sale of the La Brea studio lot, the Henson family is not in any business dealings with the Church of Scientology, and that organization is not in consideration as a potential buyer of the property. It is still the family's intention to move the Jim Henson company to a new location it can share with Jim Henson's Creature Shop. But at this time, the family is not in escrow with any buyer. Then goes into a little bit of the history, what they've been doing there. The church had no comment on the rumors swirling around the Henson lot matter when contacted by Deadline. However, it seems that Scientology has not made and is not intending to make any moves in regard to the Henson property. A well-placed church source tells us, as far as they know, the Henson company has never been approached by, okay, now I've said church too many times, we got to switch it to cult. As far as they know, the Henson company has never been approached by the cult or any of its representatives or lawyers in regard to the La Brea property, we hear. So it goes on, it kind of brings up the whole Danny Masterson trial, and as well as Leah Remini, mentions Tom Cruise, gives a little bit of background. So I know that I was relieved to hear that, because I got to admit it, being a child who grew up on the Muppets, I was very disturbed by that. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just Scientology trying to take one more thing away from my childhood. And it was not. So this is fantastic news. Any of you that shared my mild upset, but being disturbed by that, we can all breathe a sigh of relief. Hey, Don Gloves, aloha to you as well. Welcome, Farrell Sherrow. I see you there. And hey, there's Marilyn too. Hello, everybody popping in right now. Ooh, look at that. Aloha from DC. That's fabulous. I love when you guys say an aloha and tell me where you're watching from. I absolutely love that. Now, let's go take a look. Have you guys been sitting here wondering? I'm sure it's been bothering you. And the question you've been asking yourself is, where is Scientology's front group, Galaxy Press, going to be next? Which Comic-Con are they going to rain down recruitment upon? Because Galaxy Press is part of Scientology, they deal with publishing and getting out his fiction works like Battlefield Earth and a whole, Mission Earth and so on and so on. Well, take a look at this. Galaxy Press, again, Scientology, says right here, publisher of the fiction works of L. Ron Hubbard. So they are clear about that. And also SEERG members. In fact, Phil Jones, who you guys know from here on the channel, he's been on. He's also here on YouTube as Philip Jones. His daughter Emily has worked for Galaxy Press in the past and has been at different events that they've been at. So I know people like to keep an eye out for her. But look at this. If we scroll up, it says they're going to be at Salt Lake City Fan X, the 26th through the 28th, Lost Con, and Cowboy Christmas Las Vegas. Now, I didn't check Salt Lake City Fan X, but the other two, here's what was so interesting to me about that, is the other two, when you go and you look at their exhibitors, like Lost Con, here you can see a list of people who participate in it, and Galaxy Press is nowhere to be seen on this list. So I don't know if they just didn't show up, but it's also talking about how it's sold out for vendors. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if they join and they don't want people to put it publicly on their site, which makes no sense because they're saying it. Galaxy Press on their own site is saying that they're going to be there. And then if you look at Cowboy Christmas, they should be between Frontier by Lawrence Scott and Gary C. Designs, because this is all alphabetical and they are not there listed as a vendor. But on their website, they say they're going to be there. So who knows for sure? Maybe it's a wish list they put up a while ago. But, keep an eye on that, especially if you live in those areas. And if you follow these type of events, maybe you know something behind the scenes. The beauty of the number of people who watch my channel and other channels exposing Scientology is that many of you have such a variety of different jobs and might even be working at these events. You never know. But if you know something about it, please email me, Natalie@lifeafteroccult.com. Remember, if you see something, say something, Scientology, something culty that you think would be great to share, go ahead and email it over to me. Send a timestamp or a clip if it's less than a minute and a note with what I am looking at. All right, moving on from Galaxy Press Scientology Front Group and wondering where there are going to be. There was an interview that ScientoloGeek did that I absolutely love. I've said before on this channel, some of the best interviews I've seen. It's one thing when an ex-Scientologist interviews an ex-Scientologist. It's a whole nother take when somebody never in Scientology, but all in on bringing down this cult, when they do it. Because there's things that they see that for many of us, we've normalized and don't see it as, oh no, that was still part of the cultiness and the whole mess. And it really helps. For me, I can speak for myself. When I see it through the eyes of many of you, helps me to process it. And she did an interview with TheHolyRogue, who is here on YouTube. We're going to look at a clip of this.
I get my first order. Like, hey, you have to find a past life PC folder.
He was a staff member in Scientology, and a PC folder is a pre-clear folder. It is the folder when you get Scientology auditing or interrogations, the person delivering it writes everything down and everything goes into this folder. Many people have several several pre-clear folders.
And I'm like, wow, shit, you know, this is amazing. Like, I get to find a past life folder.
And so in Scientology, if somebody comes up and says, hey, I think that I went clear in a past life, Scientology can look for their pre-clear folders if that person knows the name of who they were in a past life. And it sounds like he was given the task of finding one of those folders.
Like, to a new person like myself, who's all into it, spirituality and imagination, that sounds amazing. And it sounds factual, like there's some truth to it. You know, and I've come to my own conclusions that there is no truth to it. What do I know, though? I don't know shit. But I'm just saying, in my own conclusions right now, it can change. But, you know, I don't think there is past lives. But so what? Maybe there is.
It's such a great interview. In fact, there's another clip we're going to look at where his story is really amazing. In fact, I invited him to come on my channel, and I think we're going to be talking more about it next week. And I was absolutely inspired by this interview that the ScientoloGeek did.
I won't go too into detail, but I'll say the brief is I divorced my wife because of that. I said, hey, I'm an OT, a past life, I'm a female, and I can't be doing this anymore. Like, I felt I had to break off and go and be a Scientologist somewhere.
And when you listen to the whole story and put the pieces together, you really see how Scientology works to manipulate people to get them to continue in Scientology and ignore red flags, other signs, people in their lives who might need be agreeing what they're doing. And we've seen Scientology also over and over again take advantage of people who, knowing what I know now, what I've learned more about mental health, who are experiencing mental health issues and trying to handle it with Scientology, which doesn't work. It actually makes it worse. And we've seen that happening over and over and over again. And personally, I believe that has a lot to do with the large number of Scientologists who have unalived themselves, because you're not getting the mental health treatment that you need. But Scientology is doubling down on that and doing things to you that would more stir up the confusion and those feelings, and then they give you false information about why you're feeling that way. So it puts people really in a tough place. I'm going to include links to all of the articles and videos we're going over today after this video in the description. So be sure to check it out and go watch that interview. It was a good interview. Let's see here. Now let's pop over. Okay, I'm going to share a clip with you from a sit down I did with my sister, because my sister Lana is up here with me up north. Hey, TheHolyRogue, I see you there. Yes, and I'm really looking forward to chatting with you this coming week too. I realize today's Monday, so it already is the week that we're in. Anyways, Lana and I sat down, and if you're new to my channel, Lana is my sister. We both grew up in Scientology. She was in the SEA organization from the age of 14, and many things happened to her that we had never talked about. And a lot of it, as Lana shared in the video even yesterday herself, you know, it's a lot of it can be difficult to talk about, but she's come, for her, she feels better in the therapy that she's done and the multiple treatment and different modalities that she employed to help her with her healing, that she can speak about it now. And she's been out of Scientology even longer than I have. And many times, in fact, almost each time, I'm only finding about what happened to her right before the video or during the video itself, because these are just not things that we've talked about until I got on YouTube in December and started exposing Scientology. And she did more in her treatment and felt better about sharing it. And she shares about an incident when she was a Sea Org member and they left her alone at 17 years old in Miami with no way to get back and nowhere to stay, after sending her on what's called a Sea Org mission to recruit people for the Sea Org, to get them to sign a billion-year contract.
Then I slept in the park that was across the street from the Miami org the second night. And there was another Scientology kid. He was a boy. He was He was probably about 14 and I was 17, and somehow he was able to sleep in the park with me so we have numbers, because it got kind of shady at nighttime in the park night. And then I slept in the park that was across the street from the Miami org.
I could not believe it when I heard this story and that I had not heard it at all this whole time, because Lana left Scientology. I didn't leave for several more years, my mom and I and my daughter. So for quite some time, Lana just laid low and was told if she says nothing about her experience in Scientology, that she can maintain connection with us. That's what Scientology told her, and she did that. So we didn't disconnect from Lana or have any of that during the time that we were still in Scientology. Of course, until we left, then, I left and was declared a suppressive person, despite the fact that I broke up with you, Scientology, that you turned around and gave me a goldenrod suppressive person declare. Actually, you didn't even give it to me. You told people that that was the deal. Anyways, check out the whole interview when you get a chance, because there's a few other things she shares in there that just blew my mind. The fact that a 14-year-old boy, a Scientologist, went and stayed with her in the park so she wouldn't be alone. Where were his parents? Were they wondering where this kid was? I mean, there are so many questions there. Farrell Cheryl, I love Lana so much. She's such a lovely person. She really is. Joe Buchanan, I love when you hear more stories from Lana, even now. Yep. Marcy says, yes, so awful for Lana that they would just leave her there. Yeah. And this is not, unfortunately, a story that is even unique to her. This has happened before, where Sea Organization members have been left stranded in other places. And when you watch the video, you find out why she couldn't actually turn back to the Miami org and ask for any type of help. So please do check it out and watch the whole video if you have a chance. Buttercup 49, I was disgusted by Lana's story. Yeah, and you should be. You absolutely should be. All right, everybody, oh, hey, Scientology up north. Good to see you there. Okay, let's jump over now and let's go to Growing Up in Scientology, where Relatable Reese joined Aaron there once again. We've not seen them in a long time. I don't know if you guys saw this. I was laughing my butt off. It was hilarious. Let's just look at a clip. This is from yesterday. I'll link the whole thing down below.
I can't remember if I said this in my videos when we were doing, or if I just said this to you privately, but our videos and me having to go back through them to put in timestamps and ad breaks is what made me realize that so often when I'm doing collaborative videos, my attention isn't fully on the conversation because of everything that's going on my screens. Because I would think that I got all of your jokes and knew exactly how funny you were being. And then when I was going through it without being distracted by anything, putting in the chapter breaks and putting in the ad breaks, I was like, oh my God, she is so much funnier than I even think she's being, that I was like, do I just not pay attention to people that I'm speaking with?
Yeah, you don't. Your tether's cut. You're out in orbit.
So funny. Really check out the whole thing. It was, right, Anna? That video was so funny. Absolutely. And it sounds like game night is going to be gotten back together again and doing that again. I've not yet participated in a game night, so I am looking forward to it. But they're just so funny together. Before I came on YouTube myself as a content creator, which happened in December of last year, I watched these different channels, and mostly I watched Growing Up in Scientology and Relatable Reese. And for me, in coming onto YouTube, I don't know if you guys realize, like, I geek out all the time, whether it's meeting a different creator online or even in person, but also in meeting the different people in the chat. I have geeked out so bad about that. And that's why it was so fun when I went to Clearwater, that we went to Miami and were able to meet several of the people who went on that cruise together and put a face to a name that I've seen in the chat for such a long time. Such a long time. James Steele says, Reese is an absolute hoot without even trying. I'm so jealous. James brings us our little fun daily joke in the chat. If you've not seen James Steele's little joke, keep an eye out. He pops in with them once in a while. And James, you are really funny as well. Sometimes I don't get the jokes, but most of the time I do, and they're funny. And if I don't get it, somebody explains it to me. So then I see it. So it's fantastic. All right. Oh, hey, Sarasota Jerry. Good to see you here. Aloha to you as well. We've been wondering about, I've checked in with a few people in Florida. So, yeah, we want to know how you guys are going to be doing through this storm. And I know I'll be in touch with a few people. Farrell Cheryl, I love meeting the chat peeps, right? Absolutely. I am, yeah, embarrassingly geek out when I meet people from the chat that have been there that even I've been seeing even before I came onto YouTube. That's right, Sarasota Jerry, stay safe. Same with, out there in Clearwater, we've got Surrounded by Scientology, Dusty, Soda Dispenser, of course, Farrell Cheryl, Sandy McKenna, Aaron of Growing Up in Scientology, of course. And I'm sure I am missing people. Absolutely. But there's a whole bunch of people in that Clearwater area, and we hope you guys all stay safe. And I'll be checking in with you for sure over the next couple of days. Abraham as well, except Abraham, I think you'll be better in Miami, right? Isn't it going a little further? But I'm sure you'll get some weather. Let's see. Okay, so David says his daughter's being evacuated from their town in South Florida. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. And if you're in that area, feel free to jump in this chat. And if you're on the replay, jump in the comments and let us know how you're doing. Do you need a distraction and some fun? Just let us know what's happening. Don Glove says, Natalie, you geek out. It was so hard for me to maintain composure when I saw you in the hotel lobby. I do, which is so funny. I'm going around like, can I take a picture with you? To people. Oh, Catherine Churchill says, we are all in hurricane prep mode in most of the state of Florida right now. All right. And absolutely, Bodes Beaches and all the Tampa Bay peeps, please stay safe. And again, update us. Let us know how you're doing with your hurricane prep. Just stay in touch. We want to hear from you. Again, even on the replay, jump in those comments. All right, let's see now. Moving on. Where are we? Oh, yes. I'm going to share a clip from an interview that I did with Scientology Audit Streets LA, William Good. And he sat down and updated us on some recent court cases in Los Angeles, as well as sharing some best practices from his perspective on how to best protest Scientology, especially given that he's been doing it for about a year now. If you're new to the channel, Scientology Audit Streets LA, William Good was the first person in this round of Scientology protests last year to start live streaming outside the Hollywood testing center and pretty much shut down their recruitment with the help of many, many people who continued to show up and still protest. This is a movement that's continued across the country and the world in multiple other states that people are doing and taking part in. And William Good describes himself as an activist who uses live streaming to be able to do what he does. And he shared some great info. So let's take a look at a clip from that interview.
They've done a lot of dirty things to me, the way they've sort of come after me and attacked me, attacked my character, attacked my family. Just don't take the bait with that. These are losing tactics. Instead of retaliating by, I'm not saying not to curse them, but understand that the average person is going to look at this religious organization attacking people's characters, attacking people's families, attacking my deceased son, and it's just not going to be helpful for their cause. At the end of the day, everything we're doing, it's a PR battle. It's a PR battle, and keep that in mind. You always want to be on the winning end of that PR battle. You want to make sure the public is on your side. So yeah, just don't take the bait. Keep them reacting. Stay focused on what you're doing.
Great advice, because as we know, Scientology will try to bull bait, which is one of their training routines in Scientology, to push buttons. They want to find out where your button is and they want to push it. And they will do that by either directly doing and saying things to you or going behind the scenes and dropping rumors and all things like that to try and create disruption. You'll see them in different chats. They will send information to different trolls. It's kind of hilarious what they do, and then not so funny at the same time, because a lot of it, these are people's real lives, but it's all they can do, because when you don't actually have a case, when you don't actually have an argument, against something, you attack the person. And that's what Scientology tries to do, is attack individuals who are critical of or exposing Scientology or sharing their own stories of abuse within Scientology. And when you have that level of attack coming at you from Scientology, the intention is purely to bait you into reacting. They want you to react. They want you to be angry. They want you to be screaming. They want you to make a mistake. And when people are angry or they can get someone into a very aggressive state of mind, they can create mistakes and they can then end up getting in trouble or baited into a completely false, made up situation, which Scientology is famous for. So those are very wise words that he shares there, is just don't take the bait. They're going to do it. They're going to push your button. They're going to try and do and say anything to get you to crack. And in his experience this last year of protesting Scientology, not taking the bait and being able to, use that, just self-regulate. If you have to take a step back. He talks about even no matter what they do, you just got to kind of take it, walk away, put some space between you and them. Let's see. He also talked about, I've got another clip here. Let's share that and talk about this one too.
One thing that stands out is how the bailiffs don't come to the rescue of the Scientologists the way that the LAPD has. Leaving the, like I said, we were screaming at each other in the hallways, and we were telling us that we had to leave. And the main LASD who was telling me I had to leave, when I got outside, I saw him come outside the building with a duffel bag, wearing shorts and a t-shirt. He had changed. He immediately came over and gave me a fist bump. After Solomon won his case, the bailiff that had been in courtroom the entire time also came out in shorts and a t-shirt, was leaving for the day, and congratulated us on the win, even though Solomon wasn't there, as myself and Jessica, and then turned around and screamed, "F that guy." I don't think that would happen with the Hollywood or Northeast Division LAPD.
That was an interesting difference that he brought up with the bailiffs. And it's not the same as the LAPD. I found that to be very interesting. And he shares multiple gems and tidbits in that interview that I found to be very helpful. So please do go check it out. If you go to my channel, it's going to be linked down below in the description of this video as soon as we're done. But you can just go to live, scroll down, and it's like, I just did it a few days ago. So it should be towards the top there. All right, let's see. Now let's go over to Big Blue, where I've gotten a few emails where people have been wondering why, and that are those planters still there that are blocking, that are not ADA accessible? And yes, they are.
Dear Los Angeles City
This is from Kelly's live stream.
officials, get your lives together. Thank you. Sincerely, me. I think we lost our security guy. He's gone for the day.
Well said. Well said. Get your life together, Scientology. Yeah, just don't know. It blows my mind how they get away with not being compliant. Where is the enforcement? Why is it okay only in this area of town to not have it be ADA accessible? It's not okay. And more people. Audit LA is doing a lot of work on that in LA. I reached out to her a few days ago and invited her to come on the channel and see if she wants to share more of that. And she said as soon as she has some time, hopefully she can. But it's just one of many things that Scientology does to create their own enemies. Absolutely. And they are there, per L. Ron Hubbard, to help the able become more able. And that doesn't include the ADA community. And I'm glad that that is being called out, because it is a big, big deal. All right, now let's look at another clip from a video of Kelly's at Big Blue, where I'm just wondering what is going on here. So it looks like Scientologists are being made to sign in, and this is on the side of the blue buildings, and they go beyond this big partition. Are these people just going in on course? I mean, it looks like she's carrying a big bag, which often has Scientology materials in it. But this whole let's get you all to sign in here and then go around the back is just odd to me. It's very odd. They tend to do that when they've been telling their staff or Scientologists that there's some type of danger and they're doing it for security reasons. It's all very odd. And if I were a Scientologist in that community, I would be wondering what in the world's going on and why we're having to do this. It's just bizarre. It's very strange. You guys tell me your thoughts. I mean, you just saw that clip. Tell me in the chat. If you're catching this on replay, go ahead and jump in there too. And a reminder to show the like button, some aloha, and subscribe as well. Let's go over to Kansas City now. We're going to look at auditing Scientology and Z News, who were there counting Scientologists. Because remember, Kansas City is an ideal Scientology organization, yet it is just absolutely dead.
So
9,
the,
10, 11,
vet
12.
coming out. That's one of the staff members. He must have snuck out the side.
And pretty sure these are normal staff. I don't think these are sealers. Okay.
So I guess they're all coming out the side.
13. Yeah. So this guy makes 13.
So let me.
Okay. So.
You know, they keep counting and it's like dismal numbers.
Got a,
15.
another couple.
It's just crazy. And then something really crazy happened, you guys. Something very strange happened. I think auditing Scientology Mike made a bunch of Scientology staff members disappear. It happens quickly. I'm going to show you this link. And Honeybee, it's Z News, XENEWS is her channel, and Auditing Scientology KC, Kansas City. You'll be able to find them both. Anyway, something really strange happened. And I think Mike made these people disappear. You got to watch closely. Watch closely because it happens fast. And there is what I think is a sign from the universe that this is what happened, that Mike made these people disappear. Okay, watch this. Are y'all watching? Everybody focused here? Keep an eye because it happens quick. So we have Scientologists there standing on the curb, right? Looks like there's an ambulance coming. They're doing their counting. They're keeping an eye out. They're standing there. And then what happens? Watch for it. Watch for it. This bus comes, right? And look at that. Mike's got this. What are the odds? Auditing Scientology is Mike, and there's a bus. Mike's got this. And then watch what happens after the message that Mike's got this. They're gone. Auditing Scientology KC might have some type of magical powers. Anyways, be sure to check out their channels. They are out there they're often there on Thursdays, but also there's like a First Friday that happens in Kansas City, and they are there on top of it. I just thought that was hilarious. Obviously, the staff members walked across the street and they're fine. But it was funny when I was watching it. Mike's got this. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's so funny. And then boom, they're gone. I don't know if Mike himself noticed that in the video. So Auditing Scientology and Z News, if you're watching, make sure you check it out. Yep. Yay. KC Mike for sure. Okay. Now, oh, you guys, I even hate to do this to you. I really do. But we have to talk about Grant Cardone because there is lots of stuff out about it. So there is a channel here on YouTube, Jake Doolittle. Some of you might already be following him. He did a video bringing to attention, in fact, the video is called Exploiting Your Underage Daughters for Content. Now, there's a couple of things in these videos that really caught my eye, and that's what I want to talk about. So let's look at this. Hold on a second. Let me just get this added, and I'm going to back it up a little bit. You guys got to hear this.
Listen to I'm 10. And look, I'm ready to grow up and not be treated like a little kid. Because, you know, people don't listen to you. They talk about you, not to you.
I'm going to skip a bunch of this yapping just because if I actually thought that this girl wrote this, you know, props to her, but I'm going to have a drop off in fucking views if you continue to talk like this. Now, the part that we're getting to is the part that bothers me the most.
I can't wait to work. I can't wait to really work, to have a job, to have responsibility, to be treated like an adult. Look, you know, I'm happy when I work. Aren't you?
You know, I'm happy when I work, right, Dad? I love working. Don't take my benefits away. 10-year-old. My dad's cutting me off if I stop working for the family business.
I'm happiest when I'm busy. And I'm most fulfilled when I'm contributing.
Now, when you know and you understand that Scientology does not see children as children, but as adults in little bodies. When you grow up in Scientology, not every single parent in Scientology will raise their kids this way, but the vast majority will. And you're given more responsibility. You're expected to do much more than you should be being expected to do. You're being expected to deal with situations that are truly adult situations, not things that a child should be doing. You're denied experiences and learning opportunities that a child would have in childhood to help them be more prepared later as a young adult and again as an adult. Treating children like they're adults does not serve that child, that individual, as they grow up and are robbed of a childhood, which is where you learn to make certain mistakes. It's where you learn in being with your peers, you learn conflict resolution. You learn by having different relationships and situations. And it sounds like she pretty much works and is homeschooled and is believing and buying into this belief that she's a big Satan in a little body, and herself not recognizing or allowing herself to have those thoughts and feelings and experiences that a child should be having. And it's not her fault. She's a child. She's the child. She's merely sharing and showing up in the way that she was trained to. She was trained to respond that way. She's trained to think that way. She's trained to believe those things because that is how her parents trained her to be, to see things through this Scientology lens. And it can be, you look at that and go, wow, what a bright young lady. And she is. I am not taking that away from her. What I don't agree with is depriving children of their childhood. Where they make those mistakes. And if you keep them isolated and away from their peers and only around adults all the time, and you know what, kids should contribute. They should have chores, but to be working to that level, I mean, she talks about having a salary for how long, and you know, Jake Doolittle saying like, hey, of course she's not going to say anything different. She'll be cut off from her dad. That alone too, just think about it. Can you imagine being 10, 12 years old in your household, and if you don't behave or show up a certain way, your support could end from your family that you've gotten used to having? I mean, it just seems like, I think that one day down the road that this girl and her younger sister might just push back on this because they're not going through or being allowed to grow as kids and make the mistakes that children make. And it's going to show up one way or another later. If you don't have that childhood, you have it eventually. That's just how it goes. So it is disturbing to see. And I'm glad that Jake Doolittle brought it up because it very much is what Scientology looks like. Let's see. There's another clip we're going to look at from him as well. And hear his thoughts on this.
I'd be wondering why both of their Instagrams that have been public for years, this 10-year-old and 14-year-old, have mostly male followers. In the comments, sexualize them constantly. How come Grant Cardone can put all of this effort into shaping his image and deleting Wikipedia pages, but not control his daughter's fucking presence on social media? She attended my real estate summit as a...
Now, here's what you got to know, which is in the whole video, but I'm going to let you know what he said earlier. He was pointing out how Grant Cardone, 10X, spends an obscene amount of money in keeping certain things off the internet, in creating content to outdo, similar to what Scientology does to maintain their ranking in Google search. So he does all of this. So much money is put into that, into getting rid of negativity, into covering it up. Yet on his daughter's own social media, there are comments of a sexual nature from multiple men that are just allowed to sit and be there. So where's the protection for them in that way, instead of just trying to protect his own image?
Guest and decided to learn. I brought her on stage with me and she underwrote a real estate deal. She's 13 years old. I refuse to believe that me sending her to school would provide her with a better education. It's time we teach our kids true financial freedom. So this was not their decision. That's not what I wanted for her. But I think that you're doing more harm than good by sheltering them in this homeschool situation.
Now, I'm not even like, I don't have an issue with homeschooling. I know some very bright people who were homeschooled, but they also, the people that I know that I look at and go, oh, that was a good experience for them. They played sports. They did things with other kids their age. They did. And this, how are they going to get that if they see everything as they're these worker bees building up all of this financial freedom? I think it's important to teach children to have financial freedom when they're older, right? Maybe when they get their first job. Some kids start working, might get a job part-time at 15 or 16 or 17. And then it becomes a great time to kind of teach them how money works. Some might have an allowance, and that's how they learn that you need to budget, right? If you get $5 a week, I don't know what it is these days. I haven't raised little kids for a long time, but say it's $5 a week and they like to spend $6 a week on candy. It's a great way to teach them, hey, you actually need to budget. And here's how that works. Doing it through real estate deals with such larger sums of money, I'm just not sure how that's going to pan out, while also depriving them as a childhood. So it's a fascinating video to watch all of it and everything all together. You guys got to let me know what you think about that. Tell me in the live chat, or if you're catching it on replay, jump into those comments, because I would like to know. I'd like to know what you think, because I'm telling you, it's just not right. It's just not right. Okay, now we're gonna look at a clip here. We're going to look at a clip that's hilarious. But first, Honeybee's making a good point. I gave my son $50 a month for his allowance, and he only got it if he did the chores he was supposed to do. He didn't do his chores. He didn't get the money. Yeah, that's a great life lesson, because you learn that if you want something in life, that you need to work for it. If you want to be able to sustain yourself and have the type of life that you want to have, there's nobody but you who needs to do that and to work hard at it as well. But not at 10, 12, or I think even 14 is a little questionable. And Capricious Caroline, good point. A 10-year-old can't sign legal documents. So I'm not sure what he meant by underwriting a real estate deal, but yeah. Marissa says, wait, you guys aren't giving your kids real estate for their allowance? Yeah, definitely not. That was not happening in my household. I did work in the family business. I was working full time for my mom and grandpa dad. And for those that are new to the channel, during my mom's time in Scientology, she was married to one stepdad, divorced him, and married his dad, which made my grandpa my dad. But we went with grandpa dad is how I refer to him, to keep all of my stepdads in Scientology straight. But that was grandpa dad. All right, now let's go take a look at this short. This is on Relatable Reese's channel, and I think it's hilarious because it's from when she and I did a video together, but we were talking about when I was in Kansas City and took off running after Dan O'Connor. And for those who don't know, Dan O'Connor is a Scientologist, probably the highest trained Scientologist in Kansas City. And when Reese was a teenager, Reese has shared that he threw a fax machine at her head. It caused all kinds of physical issues. She needed to go to the hospital, and the whole story around it is absolutely disgusting. There's so much that Relatable Reese has shared about this individual, and including other people, actually, to be honest. And so when I went to protest in Kansas City and meet up with some of the other protesters there, we got to see Dan O'Connor, or thought we were, but turns out he tried to sneak in another door. And even though I am not one that runs, I took off after him. So take a look at this here. Read a book.
I've never seen a Kindle in real life.
Real exciting stuff. Oh, wait, hold on a second. That is not my clip. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Here we go. Okay, I found it. Let me back it up here for you, and we can watch this together. And again, this is on Relatable Reese's channel. All right, here we go.
Scientology knows who Dan O'Connor is. He's a big deal. Why does he run into the org? It surprises me still to this day that he wouldn't be like, fine, let's do it.
The only time you guys are going to see me run. Yeah, did you hit Reese with a fax machine? Did you hit her? Did you throw a fax machine at her? Huh, Dan? Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't want to talk about it.
I can
Yeah,
confront you. I'm OT8. I can
as the
handle
most-
this.
Probably the most highly technically trained in Scientology person there. That is the
He is
whole
the
point.
highest trained. He's always been the highest trained. He's a class 6 senior CS.
And he went running, and I will tell you this, like I've never seen the man in person until then. Yeah, that was hilarious because people there, the other live streamers and protesters were saying, oh no, he always comes in the front door. He just comes in the front door and just walks right by them. So I positioned myself by the front door in a chair and was comfortable minding my own business, waiting on Dan O'Connor. We had been protesting for hours already. And he actually did a quick turn into the building, which is when I went on my pursuit. But, you know, he never answered. He probably will never answer. And if you get a chance, go check out the videos on her channel that talk about him and what happened in Kansas City. And he runs a school somehow. He has a school for children of Scientology. It's just all of it just reeks and stinks. And I know many of you are familiar with that and familiar with her story as well. So if you see something culty, say something, email me, Natalie@lifeafterocult.com. I'm going to be headed back home today, and we'll be back in my home studio with you guys later. Thank you so much for being here. And most of all, I hope you get out and have an amazing cult-free day.